Revelation chapter 22, verses 1 through 2. Then the angel showed John the river of the water of life, shimmering like crystal, traveling out from the throne of God and the Lamb. On both sides of the river of life, stretching down the middle of the city's great street, stood the tree of life. The Bible ends the way it begins. Kind of. I mean, the Bible ends the way it begins to a degree. I mean, it's not as if the previous 65 books of the canon accomplish nothing, contribute nothing. I mean, we can see a significant and lengthy progression. I mean, moving from Abraham to Moses to David to Ezekiel, Daniel, Ezra, Nehemiah, and then we get to John the Baptist. We get to Judas the betrayer, Peter the denier, Paul the apostle to the Gentiles. I mean, we've covered a lot of ground, both geographically and theologically. But I stand by my statement. The Bible ends the way it begins. Sort of. You see, in Revelation chapter 21, this is after the seals have been broken, after the trumpets have sounded, after the bowls have been poured out, after the two beasts and Satan and Babylon have been destroyed. In Revelation 21 verse 3, the voice of God avers, "Come now. The dwelling of God is with humanity. He will dwell with them, and they will be His people. God Himself will be with them. And there will be no more pain. There will be no more grief. There will be no more sorrow, because there will be no more death. Because Revelation 21:4 says that the old order of things has passed away." And as surprising as it is expected, in the very next chapter, we once again find ourselves looking at a tree that we have not seen since Adam and Eve forfeit our right and theirs to eat from it. A tree that's no longer protected by the cherubim's flaming sword. A tree that Revelation 22 says produces 12 types of fruit each month, and its leaves are for the healing of the nations. For in Revelation 22, we once again come face to face with the tree of life. You see, the Bible ends the way it begins. The Bible ends in a paradise garden, in the presence of God, under the shade of the tree of life. But here's the problem. The problem is, life isn't lived under the shade of the tree of life in Genesis 1 through 3. And life isn't lived under the shade of the leaves of healing of the tree of life in Revelation 22. Life is lived between these two trees. And between these two trees, life is hard. I mean, between these two trees, life is hard. Life is filled with this struggle with God. This wrestling with the image of God that we both embrace and mar. Between these two trees, our lives are woven into this tapestry of struggle. Between these two trees, gentleness is disparaged, violence is celebrated, and restraint is mocked. Between these two trees, the prophets are silenced while the profane are revered. The saints are assailed while the adulterous are esteemed. Between these two trees, kids are a commodity, and women are treated like property, and race is justification for abject savagery. Between these two trees, agony is our anthem, and struggle has become our native tongue. Between these two trees, life is hard, and we struggle to connect with each other, with God, my goodness, even with ourselves. There are many days where I don't even know who it is that I am or why it is that I'm acting this way. Between these two trees, we are stirred with a longing for something to be different, a longing for something to change, a longing for transformation. You see, we all long to be someone different. We all long to be someone different. Every single one of us, rich, poor, male, female, old, young, we all long to be someone different. Even those that right now, as you're listening to this video, are thinking, not me. We all long to be someone different, even if it's just a better version of ourselves. We want that different haircut, or we want that six-pack abs, or we want whiter teeth, or we want to be a better mom, or we want to be just less like our mom. We all long to be someone different. And what we have to understand is that this is not a curse. No, this longing in all of us to be someone different is a gift from God Himself. We've just forgotten the gift of longing. Man, I love being a dad. I love being a dad because my children remind me constantly of truths of the mystery of God that growing older somehow, for some reason, I just simply forget. My children remind me of this long-lost gift of transformation, this longing for transformation. They remind me of this whenever they were young, and my daughter, for example, would invite me to a tea party. But whenever I would sit down at the tea party, I wasn't sitting down with Paige. Oh, no. She would be adorned with her high heels and her pretty princess dress and her tiara, and I would sit down with Elsa or Belle or whatever the mermaid or princess was that day. And we would sit down, and she was no longer Paige, and I was no longer Dad. No, we had transformed. We both were someone different. And if I ever made the mistake of calling her Paige, she would look at me exasperated, like, "What are you doing, Dad?" And immediately she would say, "Dad, I'm not Paige. I'm whatever the princess is for the day. And you're Captain Hook." I never understood that. Captain Hook. Always Captain Hook. Never Prince Charming, never Aladdin. Always Captain Hook. But then again, I was just thankful to be sitting next to a little princess. And I'd stare across at my daughter, and we'd both lift up our cups of tea filled with air, and the best tea our imagination could conjure, and we would tink our glasses together and drink away. Transformation. Being someone different. This is what made being a child fun. I mean, do you remember playing children games as a child? Do you remember that you never once said, "Hey, I don't care what game we play, I just want to be me"? No one ever says that. I never once started a game and said, "I don't care what we play, I just want to be Shane." No. We all wanted to be someone different, whether it was He-Man or the damsel in distress or the superhero. We all wanted to be someone different. I don't know about you, but I always wanted to be Spider-Man. Spider-Man was my guy. And I would even remember at times I would stare into a mirror and I would point my forearms heavenward and have an upside down "I love you" sign, trying as hard as I can to squeeze the webs out from my veins. They never came, and some people may look at it and think it was absurd, but it isn't absurd. As a matter of fact, it's a reminder of something that children always knew in their hearts. That they knew we were meant to be someone different. You see, children are infused with the mystery of transformation. We call it child games. We call it childish. As a matter of fact, someone even looking at you today saying you were meant to transform, you were meant to be different, may come across a little offensive, especially in our world. I mean, in our society, we are taught that you don't long to be someone different. You just embrace who you are. You were just born this way, so just deal with it. It's no wonder that we live in a society swimming in antidepressants and suicide reports. For we look into the mirror of our souls and we long to be someone different, but we have a world looking back at us saying, transformation is not possible. You are who you are born this way, just embrace it. But children remind us that we were made to be someone different. That we were made to be someone new. That we were made for transformation. Yet somewhere along the way, we just simply forgot. And listen, we may have forgotten, but the longing never goes away. It just changes shape. For embedded in the pursuits of adultery is the longing for transformation. Embedded in the overeating is the longing for transformation. Embedded in the materialism is the longing for transformation. Embedded in the overzealous parents that are chanting for their children on the sidelines as they live out their athletic exploits in front of them is this longing for transformation. And it is not a demonic curse. No, no, no. It's a gift from God that reminds us where we have come from and also reminds us where through Christ He is taking us, returning us home. Throughout these this video series of around 8 videos, it will be saturated with the Bible. We will be looking at text after text after text. But the question that this series is asking is not, how do we read the Bible? The question this series is asking is, how does the Bible read us? Because whenever we read the Bible, sometimes we forget that we're engaging in something that is alive, that is living, that is moving, that is breathing, and that longs to transform us. And the Bible comes close to us and asks us questions like, who are you? Who have you become? What do you do in a world caught between two trees? You see, the Bible ends where it begins. The Bible ends in Revelation 22 at the tree of life. The same tree of life that we saw in Genesis chapter 3. The Bible ends where it begins because it is the conclusion to an unfinished creation. A creation that has not been fully, completely ended, transformed, redeemed, renewed. Yeah, sure, I'm talking about Eden. But more importantly, I'm talking about you. The unfinished creation in you. How? How do we transform? How do we navigate this world caught between two trees? How do we make sense of the brokenness and the pain and the longings? I'll give you a hint. It has to do with another tree, a tree between both trees that we will come to realize is the true tree of life. We experience transformation by clinging to the cross of Calvary.